Ooh, it's episode 22 of our Road to Legend, and today I've got a total of 10 very exciting battles to show you guys as we actually gain a crazy amount of elos in this episode. Alright, it's over 100, so stay tuned to the very end of the video. Alright, so hi to all of you guys! So yeah, in the last episode, we ended off at 2,448 elo. If you guys remember in the last episode, we gained 0 elo after doing like, 2 days worth of battles. But today, in this episode, it's going to be 3 days worth of battles. So it's 75 battles in total. But here we are to check out the very first out of the 10 battles against Can See. Alright, so I'm using my Medicham, Swampert, and also Toxapex thing. And remember in the last episode I mentioned that I switched my charge move of my Swampert to Earthquake, and it has proven to be really useful in a lot of situations, especially against steel typing Pokemon such as Registeel, or in fact against poison type Pokemon also, man, as you guys will see later on. So anyway, against a Drapion, I can see quite a number of people using Drapion. I would say out of the 75 battles I've encountered, maybe like 4 or 5 people using, I would say it's quite high in terms of like compared to using say a Skunk Tank, for example. I've so far only encountered one opponent using Skunk Tank, and yeah, that was the one and only one, a Shadow Skunk Tank. Yeah, out of I think more than 1,000 battles already. Anyway, you guys can see that he's gonna bring in his Shadow Swampert. I'm gonna shield up against his Shadow Swampert's Hydro Cannon because I have my very own Hydro Cannon ready already. It's definitely gonna burn a shield. Otherwise, it's gonna hit hard and probably even knock out the it's gonna come close to knocking out the Swampert though. So we're gonna use Ice Sponge because that would do neutral damage to it, but he brought in Skarmory, so we're gonna use an Ice Sponge right now to see if we can do some good neutral damage. I mean, there's nothing else we can do right now, but we have Toxapex at the back. Toxapex at the back against a Swampert isn't very good because a Shadow Swampert will one-shot KO it with Earthquake. Alright, so I mean, in situations like that also, like I said, me running Earthquake right now helps me against people using Toxapex. I would say a lot of people are using Toxapex, so it's a very useful Pokemon. It's just that probably a lot of people didn't know that it's a very good Pokemon and maybe did not prepare for it, did not get the Pokemon to actually evolve it for a Great League standard one. Alright, so anyway, Brave Bird's gonna come in, it's gonna do half health damage to us. We're gonna go ahead with our Brine. Let's see if we're gonna burn a shield or knock out the Swampert at all. Nope, we are gonna burn the last shield, which is also good, but now the question is how we're gonna win the Shadow Swampert, man. So we're gonna switch into our very own Swampert to actually be taken out and at least burn the energy of my opponent. And now the question is, can we survive a Hydro Cannon? Because if we can, it'll be great. Alright, good, we survived that. We are gonna farm down the Swampert despite it suffering resisted damage, and now we can finally use our charge move against this Skarmory. Is it enough though? Yes, it is. Wow, that was a very close call, I must say. And we're gonna jump straight into the second battle right now against a real Yamaru. Alright, so it's starting off with Venusaur though. So Venusaur against my Medicham is kind of a very good start for us. I mean, there's only one of the Pokemon that I really do not want the Venusaur to face up against. That's my Swampert. Toxapex is still kind of okay against Venusaur, though the Frenzy Plant actually does half health damage to Toxapex. Frenzy Plant is just super duper sick. It's gonna switch into a Mandibuzz, which luckily I did not tap on my Psychic. He thought I was going to tap on that, but it's totally fine. I'm going to switch into our Swampert because we know that he already has a Venusaur, which then our Swampert is technically useless against that. So we're going to go with Hydro Cannon right now. Alright, so like I said, Toxapex fares pretty okay against a Venusaur also, so hence why I'm going to save it for the Venusaur, because Venusaur, wow, the Frenzy Plant just does a crazy amount of damage, man. Right, missed the last bubble, but it's totally fine. Alright, we're gonna go ahead to do as much as we can. We're gonna let this go through also. Alright, Foul Play isn't gonna take us out yet. Mandibuzz is very tanky, but it doesn't do too much damage. We're gonna get to another Hydro Cannon in time before we get farmed down by those Snarls anyway, but he's gonna shield up against that. So we're gonna bring in, I believe, the Toxapex, alright, to farm down the Mandibuzz. Alright, Mandibuzz has Aerial Ace, so hence why it wouldn't be good against my Medicham. You'll get knocked out totally with the amount of health that it's left with. It's gonna bring in Venusaur, like I said. Alright, so we are up one shield, that's great. Alright, so I'm gonna shield up against this because Venusaur's Frenzy Plant really wrecks Toxic Packs, man. Alright, we're gonna go with Sludge Wave. Let's see if he's gonna shield this or not. Alright, I might decide to pull a switch into Medicham though, alright, which I do, and then he's gonna bring in a Frostlass, and I'm like, okay, you are out of shields, man, we are still up one shield, so we are good. We're gonna go with Psychic. It's gonna do half health damage to the Frostlass, and we're gonna just bring it down to red health. Now the question is, can we actually survive a Shadow Ball? And the answer is yes, despite, you know, Frostlass hitting really hard, Toxic Packs can take a hit from that. And we're going to farm down the Frostlass so that we can actually get to a charge move against the Venusaur. That is the game plan for now. So we're going to farm it down totally. We have to do that. It's doing resisted damage. Alright, so we've got Sludge Wave ready. Sludge Wave, here we go. And this will be enough to knock out the Venusaur because it's left with only like 45% health. Boom. Alright, that was a GG well played, and that was quite insane. So I actually suffered quite a few losses also. There's no way that I'll win every single game, but at least I'm scoring like 60 to 70% wins and slowly making my way up there. Alright, so against the next opponent, Yuda, and he's using a Dragonite, Shadow Dragonite. It's pretty rare to see someone using a Dragonite, let alone a Shadow Dragonite in the Great League. I mean, Ultra League and Master League, a lot of people do use that. I myself have used the Dragonite before, but you know, now with the current meta changing a bit, I don't feel Dragonite is too useful in the Master League, despite it ranks super duper high, I think rank 3 or rank 2 according to pvpoke.com in the Master League. Alright, so I'm going to switch into my Toxic Pack since he decided to shoot up against the Ice Punches. Alright, Lantern is going to be brought in, and Lantern using Water Gun isn't as effective as using Spark as the fast move against Toxic Packs, especially when Water Gun doesn't charge up energy that quickly, and what you need to use is actually Thunderbolt on the Toxic Packs and not Surf. So let's see that Thunderbolt is going to do still a good amount of damage to us, and then we're going to try and knock it out with just our charge move alone. I was thinking maybe Brine would have been enough to knock out the Lantern. I should have just gone with Brine and do a few more fast moves instead of wasting the energy, but it's totally fine also. Alright, so waiting for my opponent to wait for his switch clock to cool down, and then he's going to bring in Dragonite. Dragonite is just going to farm us down, and then I was like, okay, we should be fine. We got Swampert here, right? Since we have one shield there, if we can actually shield up against that, we can go with double Hydro Cannons to knock out the Dragonite. But he brought in Registeel. I'm like, okay, one shield Registeel. Let's just gamble with the Earthquake, man. Alright, but he managed to get to his charge move in time. I should have actually tapped on Earthquake sooner, but his Focus Blast, it doesn't really matter because it's not going to debuff us anyway, like the Z Cannon would do. Alright, so Earthquake is going to land. We're going to farm down the Registeel, and we have 1.5 Hydro Cannons ready. At this point, I was like, okay, we should be fine, right? But remember, he has a shield left, which then he is going to shield up against this. Can I get to a second Hydro Cannon though? The answer is no. So that was quite unfortunate. We suffered a loss, but it's okay, you know, never give up and just keep on pushing. So you guys can see my ratings actually went up to 2,465. It went up by a bit. Alright, our next opponent against Hypno. I'm like, oh my god, Hypno. I have 2 Pokemon that are weak to Hypno, and I really do not like to fight against Hypno because it's just super duper tanky, especially Medicham. The only move that does neutral damage to it is Ice Punch. Every other move like Power Up Punch, Dynamic Punch, Psychic would be resisted. Alright, so we're going to go with another Ice Punch here after doing 3 counters. Alright, so let's go with that. And it's already in yellow health for the both of us, but his charge move is going to come in. The confusion damage is adding up slowly as it's just super duper painful. One more confusion, I'll be knocked out, but I'm going to switch into Swampert immediately. Alright, knowing that he actually has Thunder Punch, I would not shield this, but he has Ice Punch instead also. Alright, so that was quite unfortunate for me, but it's okay. We're going to go with Hydro Cannon now before he actually fires off another charge move, and this will knock out the Hypno. Alright, so Hypno is gone. Let's see what's the next Pokemon. It is Azumarill. Let's go with Earthquake straight away. Let's see if he's going to shield this. Actually, you know, I had a feeling he was going to shield, and indeed he actually shielded that up. I should have just gone with Hydro Cannon instead. Alright, but it's okay, it's totally fine. I'm not going to shield this. Since I have Toxic Packs, right, I can bring in Toxic Packs to farm down the Azumarill. Here we go, let's go. Let the farming begin after our switch clock cools down. It's going to bring in Bastiodon. So now I have a problem. Alright, so I mean, we have 2 shields against a Bastiodon. It looks pretty okay for us because with 2 shields you can actually come close to winning, or I think you win a Bastiodon. But the Azumarill will give us a problem. I'm going to bring in Medicham, just get to whatever charge move I can get to, and that's just Ice Punch to do a bit of chip damage, that's all. Alright, we're then going to bring in our Toxic Packs. I was trying to catch the Stone Edge on my Medicham though. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to. So we have 2 brines ready already. Sorry, my phone light up. I thought somebody called me or messaged me. I was looking at my phone, but it's okay. Nobody called me. Alright, so we're going to shoot up against the Stone Age again because every move from Azumarill will be resisted by Toxic Pack, so I have to land the Brine on it, onto the Bastion to knock it out immediately because the Stone Age, and in fact the smackdown damage is doing so much damage to us. Alright, so now it's Azumarill and us, and he has one shield left, so I was like, oh my god, one shield left, let's go with Brine, let's try and see if we can burn the last shield though. Alright, so let's see it go. Great, the last shield is burned, and hopefully we can survive the moves that comes in. I believe this is Hydro Pump. Alright, remember the situation, and we are trying our best to get to the Sludge Wave now, please. Whew. I was like, oh, I think we are just one turn away from losing, man. Alright, we managed to get that, and we scored a win. Oh my god, that was ultra close. Alright, so we're gonna go into the next battle against Niantic, and he's starting off with Talonflame, shiny Talonflame. Alright, we're gonna do 7 counters before we fire off our Ice Punch right now. Alright, great. Let's see if our opponent is gonna shoot this or not. Most people do not shoot Ice Punch because Talonflame can still take the heat. Alright, so it's 4 Incinerates that has been used already. Probably he overtapped by a bit. Alright, Brave Bird is used, and he's gonna switch into Ferrothorn. So Ferrothorn, I'm like, okay, I mean, I need to use my Medicham to take out the Ferrothorn. My other 2 Pokemon, they wouldn't fare too well against Ferrothorn. So I did not shoot up against them. I'm not too sure why didn't I shoot up against the Power Whip, though I should have done that. But it's okay, since the Ferrothorn is really low in health, and we're just gonna have to just do 1 counter and get to another Ice Sponge. Alright, and bring it down to a lower health, and then our other 2 Pokemon can technically still handle it. Actually, no, Medicham actually handled it totally well. Alright, so we are down 1 shield, but our opponent is down 1 Pokemon. But it's gonna bring in the Talonflame. We're gonna get to Ice Punch immediately because the Incinerate is gonna just take us out with the amount of health that we are left with. We're now gonna bring in Toxic Packs, as it can still take a hit from the Brave Bird. We don't have to use a shield at all. Since we are down 1 shield, we have to preserve the shield. If I were to bring in Swampert, I definitely will have to shield up against the Brave Bird, and I do not know what's the last Pokemon yet, so it'll be safer to actually do that instead of bringing in the Swampert, despite the fact that Swampert can actually get to Hydro Cannon quicker to take out the Talonflame, right? So okay, we're gonna get to Earthquake right now. Let's see if our opponent is gonna shield this at all, and I tell you guys this, he is going to shield. Boom, told you guys nothing, no damage done except 1 damage. Alright, so back to this though, we can see that he's going to use Surf. So Surf against Swampert is doing a lot. I was thinking to try to get another Earthquake, but I wasn't confident enough because Surf would be fired off before I can actually get to an Earthquake. So I'm just going to do a bit of cheap damage and save the last shield for my Toxic Packs, which will be more useful in a situation like this. I'm going to shield up against the Thunderbolt and try to get the next charge move. The Thunderbolt wasn't used, it was Surf anyway. So okay, brought in Talonflame. I'm going to have to do that. Alright, I have 1 Brine almost ready, 2 Brine, sorry, almost ready. We're going to use the Brine right now. We are going to survive that. Alright, I knew that it is not going to be Brave Bird. I did not want to knock out the Talonflame totally, but it's fine. Alright, Brine is going to be used, but unfortunately he got to his charge move in time. I'm like, oh my god, we're going to lose this one, right? Yes, we are, because it is Thunderbolt. Ouch. So we shielded up against the wrong move. If we shielded up against Thunderbolt instead, we would probably have won that. Alright, so going against the next opponent, you guys can see my rating has gone up to 2,494. Again, slowly making my way up there. Alright, and I actually got very close to 2,600 at the end of the video, as you guys will see later on. Hopefully in the next episode we can really break the 2,600 mark. But literally in this video, I actually reached my highest ELO that I've ever reached, I guess, ever, if I'm not mistaken. Alright, I don't think I've gone beyond the 2,600 before also, so this probably is my highest already ever in any season, other than in season 10, where, was it season 10 or season 5? The one that was free to get the legend. Alright, so anyway, the Shadow Swampert is taken out. We're going to use Psychic against the Medicham, and let's see if our opponent is going to shoot this or not. Alright, opponent decided to shoot that. We're going to bring in Swampert. Swampert is going to be very, very good against Medicham, since it can get to his Hydro Cannon quicker than Ice Punch or even Dynamic Punch or even Psychic. Other than Power Up Punch though, that you just require 5 counters to get to. Alright, so let's go ahead with that. Another Hydro Cannon is going to be shielded up. So he's out of shields, so I'm thinking if I want to shield this, I kind of guess it's going to be Power Up Punch, but I need to to have a little bit more health so I can fire off 2 Hydro Cannons. If I really want to do that, I need to actually shield up against that Power Up Punch, so let's go ahead to try and do that. Alright, so we're going to race to try to get to the Hydro Cannon not in time, so that was quite unfortunate. But it's okay, we're going to bring in our next Pokemon soon, and he's already been boosted 3 times, so that's really worrying for us. He's doing 75% extra damage, but he brought in Bastiodon. I'm like, okay, you got your debuff. And I'm just going to bring in Medicham to like do as much damage as I can, using Psychic to try and see if I can even get a debuff off him. Alright, unfortunately did not get a debuff, but the Bastiodon is left with a little bit of health, and the Toxic Pax is full of health, man, so we can just do one Brine to actually knock out the Bastiodon, and the Medicham can just be farmed down with just poison jabs alone, especially since one Psychic wouldn't be enough to knock us out anyways, I think. Alright, since he has already been debuffed and he can't even reach to Psychic if I'm not mistaken. Alright, so let's see that. 1 sliver of health left. Psychic is gonna land. Is it gonna be enough to knock us out? Actually, yes. No. Yes. No. 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 We won! Haha! Yeah, that was very close though. But if the Medicham still had his buff, definitely it would have knocked us out with the Psychic. Alright, but the buff got removed once you actually switch out your Pokemon. So going to the next battle against Trevenant. So we have a very bad lead, and I've been encountering a lot of people using Trevenant. I'm like, oh my god, how do I play against Trevenant, especially when 2 of my Pokemon are technically weak against Trevenant. My Medicham and also Swampert are weak against it. Usually I would switch in Toxic Pax to handle the Trevenant, but people would switch it out to use something against my Toxic Pax. So I might as well just stay in with Medicham and then play it out until like that, and then bring in Toxic Pax once we actually still have a shield advantage. And then Shadow Ball is going to come in, it's going to do almost half health damage to us. We're going to farm down the Trevenant. I'm not even going to shield up against this, man, despite the fact that Trevenant hits really hard. But I'm not going to shield because I'd rather save the shield for my Swampert, as it's really more important. We're going to go with Brine to actually do some neutral damage against the Shadow Drapion. Like I said, there are people who are using Drapion and Shadow Drapion. It's not very common as compared to, like, you know, people using say Swampert for example, but yeah, it's still kind of useful, especially when it has access to Crunch and Aqua Tail. Alright, so let's go ahead with another Brine. Let's see if our opponent is going to shield this or not. Decided not to shield. We're going to pull a switch into our Swampert and try and farm down the Shadow Drapion, but we're going to shield up against the Crunch as it will do half health damage to us. Alright, the last Pokemon is a Ninetales. I'm like, okay, now looks pretty okay, but it will be very tight. We have 2 Hydro Cannons ready. We're gonna fire off the first one, and I was thinking, should I fire off Hydro Cannon on Earthquake since he is already out of shield, but then he managed to get to his charge move in time. I'm like, I need to survive this. Let's get to Earthquake. Oh my god, with that 1 sliver of health left, I was able to tap on Earthquake, and this will almost knock out the Ninetales. We're gonna bring in Toxic Pax to farm down the Ninetales. We're then gonna farm down the Drapion, and we managed to score a win. Oh my god, that was one of the closest game ever. If the Hydro Cannon was used instead, I definitely would say that I would have lost that one already. Alright, so let's go into the next battle against Chao Yin. Alright, and she's leading with Shadow Victory Bell. Alright, I really don't like to fight Shadow Victory Bell because it just does so much damage with the laser beef. Yeah, okay. Razor Leaf, guys. Alright, laser. Yeah. It still does as much damage as a laser. So, but a Razor Leaf, look at that. It's just insane. I'm gonna try to get to a second Ice Punch, which I do if I were to use a shield. Alright, let's see if our opponent is gonna burn both shields or not. Yes, she does. So I'm like, okay, let's bring in Toxic Pax. There's no way I can beat that with Swampert. She did a pretty late switch there, though. She waited for like around 2 seconds before she switched into a Pokemon. Not too sure whether it's a lag or whatsoever. But we're gonna go with Sludge Wave. Alright, Thunderbolt will definitely be fired off by the Deoxys, but we're gonna try and farm it down. After we shield up against this also, we need the Toxic Pax against the Victory Bell. My Medicham cannot survive the Laser Leaf anymore. Alright, Laser Leaf, yeah, Razor Leaf. Okay, Brandon. Okay, so going back to this, you guys can see the Bastiodon is going to be brought in. So when she brought in Bastiodon, I'm like, oh my god, I need to lure out that Victory Bell. So I was thinking, how do I lure out the Victory Bell? There's only one option, and that is actually to bring in the Medicham. Alright, so I'm going to bring in Medicham to lure out the Victory Bell. Alright, that's the only way already, because if I were to stay in and let her take out my Toxic Pax, and I don't have my Toxic Pax anymore, the Victory Bell will just go to town on my Swampert. Alright, so I managed to do that, and then I'm like, okay, now we are in a very good position because our last Pokemon Swampert, it's just gonna take out the Bastiodon with ease, man. Alright, so that switch was very important, and luckily she also switched into that. In this situation, actually, I would just surrender already if I'm in her shoes, because there's no way you can actually beat a Swampert in this situation already. I just need to get to a Hydro Cannon that will knock out the Bastiodon anyways. Alright. So I believe we are left with two more battles to actually check out. The first one is going to be this Subduct something, sorry. And the next one is going to be one more. Alright, so against Umbreon, so you should pull a switch immediately into Venusaur. I'm going to stay put because my other two Pokemon do not fare too well against the Venusaur anyways. Alright, so we're going to go with Ice Punches all the way farm up to Psychic first before we fire off the Ice Punch to see if we can actually get a bait or in fact do some good super effective damage. Alright, so she's going to shoot that, we're going to get to another Ice Punch, but she managed to get to a Frenzy Plant first, so we're going to have to shoot up against this, otherwise we will not be able to survive at all to get to this Ice Punch. Alright, so the Umbreon can be handled by either my Swampert or in fact the Toxic Pack, so I'm not very worried with it, but now that my Medicham is very low on health, I really need to switch in my Toxic Packs, otherwise she's just going to farm me down and do double Frenzy Plants on my Toxic Packs, which isn't going to be ideal for us. Alright, brought in Umbreon instead. We're gonna go with a Sludge Wave right now. Alright, Sludge Wave will do an okay neutral damage. I mean, we are technically using two very tanky Pokemon, so we ain't gonna do like super crazy damage to each other. Alright, Foul Play is gonna do like a little bit of damage, and we're gonna get to another Sludge Wave again. Alright, after doing a few more Poison Jets. And let's see, this is gonna do a good amount of damage, and the Umbreon is really red health. Alright. So looking very good, man, looking very good for us. We are going to almost knock out the Umbreon already. I'm just going to bring in the Medicham right now to try and knock out the Umbreon. Alright, like I said, the Venusaur can still be handled by my Toxic Pack, so I'm not really too worried about that. We're going to bring in Swampert. Alright, but she brought in the Skarmory. I was wondering, why did you bring in Skarmory? You should have brought in the Venusaur. Alright, because I mean, I can't switch really. I'm kind of switch locked already, so I can't actually do anything else. But it's okay, we got two Hydro Cannon in. Very good opportunity for us, I guess. Alright, maybe my opponent made a mistake, like seriously. I would have brought in the Venusaur instead though. Alright, so I mean, the Skarmory can be handled by... The Skarmory will be able to handle my Toxic Packs if she actually brought in the Venusaur. Alright, so now in this situation, I'm like, okay, let's try and farm down the Umbreon. Let's go ahead with Brine to knock out the Umbreon right now, and we have to get to at least a charge move to knock out the Venusaur before anything happens, and we do. So like I said, if I'm in my opponent's shoes, I would have brought in Venusaur, and I'm pretty sure that would have been better. Since she already knows that I have a Toxic Pack, that will be easily handled by my Skarmory. So she probably made a slight mistake over there, or I'm not too sure, man. Alright, so against the last opponent right now, against Bailey, alright, and starting off with Swampert again. Alright, so Swampert is still a very overly used Pokemon, I must say. It's a very strong Pokemon to use in the grid. I myself like using it a lot. Alright, and sometimes I even use a double ground team, which I've shown in the previous episode before, with Galarian Stunfisk paired with it. Alright, so we're gonna go with Psychic. Psychic is not gonna land, but it's okay. We are gonna shoot up against this, and then I was trying to check to see my storage percentage, my storage over there, just to make sure that I still have enough storage space. Alright, because I forgot whether I actually removed the previous screen recordings. Okay, so let's check this out right now. Ice Punch is gonna land, it's gonna hit, and then we are going to see what's the next Pokemon. It's going to be Altaria, so we can get to an Ice Punch. Hopefully it lands, because if it does not, my other two Pokemon ain't gonna fare too well against it, and it does land. Awesome, we did a good amount of damage to the Altaria, being double weak to ice. Alright, we're gonna see that the Toxic Pack is the only one that can actually take out the Altaria right now, since it's left with one shield, but he brought in a Galarian Stunfisk. I'm like, I have to handle the Galarian Stunfisk somehow or rather. Alright, and remember he has still one shield left. We're gonna go with double Brines right now. Hopefully we can switch into our Swampert ASAP. Okay, unfortunately we are still switch locked. So we are gonna go ahead to just do whatever we can. We're gonna get taken out by an earthquake right now. Goodbye, Toxic Packs, you did really well, but it's time for you to rest. Swampert, it's time for you to come back in. Alright, so I didn't expect him to actually get to his earthquake that quickly because I wasn't counting properly. I was just thinking of my storage, you know, like a space, making sure that my iPad doesn't run out of space and I can't get the screen recording. So alright, we're gonna catch the charge move right now. And that's going to be a rock slide. We're going to bring in the Swampert to farm down the Galarian Stunfisk, but he swapped into Altaria straight away. We're going to go with double Hydro Cannons, which then the second one, when it lands, is going to knock out the Altaria, and then we'll be able to just fast move down the Galarian Stunfisk anyway. So yep, that is it, man. That's the last battle that I had to show you guys. It was a crazy win. So far, so good. All the battles that I've been doing was really fun so far, and I've been scoring really well. After doing all those battles, 75 battles, my ratings went up to 2,581. So we are just 19 points shy of getting to 2,600. Hopefully we can break that in the next episode and not drop back down to 2,400 or even lower. That would be really bad. Alright, and the Go Battle Day for Milk Tank Day is starting in like a couple of days, so hopefully during that day we can actually push even higher, hopefully. Alright, but that's basically all that I have to show to you guys in this video, man. If you guys enjoyed this video, definitely remember to leave a like on the video. It will be much appreciated. Thank you very much. And I'll see you guys in the next episode in the next video. Alright, goodbye, goodbye.